Hey folks, Sethaldor here to go over some spec'ing, redoing my spec'ing videos if anyone who's watching this has seen the old ones with horrible quality. Alright, so first we're going to do protection. First row we've got Divinity and Divine Strength. I'm going to fill down and then backfill just because I'm picky. So I would go for Divine Strength, and then you have Stoicism, reduces stun effects, and yeah, my helpful end dots will have a reduced chance of being dispelled. PvP. Guardian's Favor reduces cooldown of Hand of Protection by 2 minutes and increases Hand of Freedom by 4 seconds. More PvP unless you use Hand of Protection a lot. I don't. Anticipation, 5% dodge. Gotta have it. This row is pretty straightforward. Toughness, 10% armor, reduces slowing effects. Improved Righteous Fury is 6% DR, and Divine Sacrifice, 30% of all damage taken, is averted to you. Toughness all the way. This row is debatable. Improved Devotion Aura increases the armor bonus of Devotion Aura and healing done to anyone affected by Devotion Aura. If you're raiding and you have a Paladin with this already and you're off tanking, you could easily skip this. But I haven't been in the raiding scene in a while, so I would pick it up because I do 5-mans mostly, and then dump to an Improved Righteous Fury. Next row, Blessing of Sanctuary, of course, and then 4 of 5 Reckoning. Reckoning is excellent. I'll explain more about that as I go back. Sacred Duty, 4% stamina. The bubble cooldown really doesn't do anything for you as a tank, but the stam is nice. Increased one-handed weapon damage, excellent for 10% more threat. Holy Shield, go ahead and read it. Holy Shield is excellent. Without it, you can't really call yourself a pally tank, in my opinion. Ardent Defender, it's good. With any luck, you will never have to use it, but it's always best to have the safety net there. Spiritual Attunement, this is debatable. I've tanked without it before, and I had minor mana problems. It was nothing too drastic, but it's always nice to have that little bit of help there. Combat Expertise, Stam, and Crit. I would take it just for the Stam, so 6% there. Redoubt increases block value by 30% and damaging melee attacks have 30% chance to increase your chance to block by 30%. So it gives you a flat out 30% block value bonus, and then you have a 30% chance to get 30% block chance bonus. I know, it sounds like a mess. So basically, you will always block 30% more than you would without the talent. And when you get hit, you have a chance to increase your chance to block the next 5 incoming hits, essentially, by 30% more. You're 30% more likely to block the next incoming hits. So it's good. It's also being removed in Cataclysm. Alright, Avenger's Shield. That's your pulling spell. You definitely want it. It's pretty good threat gen too. Guarded by the Light reduces spell damage taken. Spell DR is excellent, and refreshes the Divine Plea on yourself with melee. It's amazing. You're your own mana battery, essentially. Touched by the Light increases spell power equal to 20% of your strength and increases amount healed by your critical heals by 10%, scaling, of course, with each point. Okay, I don't know about you, but I don't do much healing as a pally tank. Critical healing anyways, but the spell power by 60% of my strength. The way spell power coefficients work with a lot of Paladin abilities, this actually turns out to be quite a bit of threat, so I'd recommend getting it. Shield of the Templar reduces all damage taken and grants your Avenger's Shield silencing powers. I'd take it just for the DR. I see a lot of paladins with Judgments of the Just. It's ridiculous to have it, I'm sorry. I only know of one strategy where the Hammer of Justice cooldown is helpful. And the Seal of Justice effect I only see being helpful in PvP or the PvP fight in TOC, because bosses aren't stunnable usually. And then reducing the attack speed of the target, one of the other classes in your raid will most likely have it. And it's not that big of a deal in 5-mans. It won't save your life. So, I mean, honestly, it's a bit of a waste of talents. So I would go back and put Touched by the Light and Redoubt max, and then of course pick up Hammer of Righteous, which allows you to AoE tank while making retardedly high amounts of threat gen. Alright, now go cap out Spiritual Attunement. Reckoning. Okay, I see paladins running around without Reckoning. And it bothers me, because with Reckoning, you can stack your Vengeance, Seal of Vengeance higher, faster rather, which means you'll be making your optimal threat sooner in a fight. You make double the threat every second that you swing, because in the 2.4 seconds, let's say, that I swing with my mace, I don't know if that's the swing time, I would make X amount of threat. With this, every 2.4 seconds I swing. If this is procced, I make 2x amount of threat, to look at it algebraically. So that's doubling it, essentially, for the next 4 weapon swings. Plus, this can start stacking, or refreshing itself, rather. So, this is really good for threat gen. Plus, in Cataclysm, you'll be receiving Crusader Strike as any Paladin spec, and I believe that will benefit from Reckoning if they choose to leave Reckoning in the live build for Cata. Improve Righteous Fury, cap that out, and pick up Divinity, because this is 5% healing done to you. That makes the healer's lives so much easier. Let's go to Retribution. 5% parry or 10% reduced mana cost of instant spells. Well, if you recall in the protection tree, we have Spiritual Attunement for mana, as well as a self-refreshing Divine Plea for mana. So I don't think we need to worry about mana anymore. I would take the 5% deflection. Now, here you have Improved Judgments, which is a lot of your threat. It makes a lot of threat when you get a 5-stack Vengeance going on the boss. So if you can do that every 8 seconds instead of 10 seconds, rather, that would drastically increase your threat output. Heart of the Crusader, 3% more crit on the target. It's nice. It helps out the raid, but I wouldn't put 3 points in it. And Blessing of Might, leave that for Ret Pallies. We got our Blessing of the Sanctuary. So I would take 2 and Improved Judgments. And now over to the Holy Tree briefly. 70% reduced pushback from casting spells. Well, I'm not going to be casting if I'm tanking, because you can't avoid while you're casting. Seals of the Pure. Increased damage done by your Seals of Righteousness, Seals of Vengeance, and Seal of Corruption, and their judgment effects by 15%. I don't use Seal of Righteousness. Seal of Vengeance is Seal of Corruption for the Alliance. Seal of Corruption is Vengeance for the Horde, which will be fixed in Cataclysm. It'll be, I believe, called Seal of Faith. I could be wrong. Increases the damage they do themselves by 15%. 15% more threat from an ability. A buff at that. That's awesome. And then 15% more damage from Judgment. Plus, I spec to be able to do Judgment every 8 instead of 10 seconds. So I'll be making 15% more threat every 8 seconds. That's awesome. So definitely take Seals of the Pure, which finishes our protection spec. There's some theories about picking up Divine Sacrifice and Divine Guardian. You would lose this 15% damage bonus from Holy if you did, at least if I were to spec it, which I have done before. It all depends on the needs, because I like the longer Sacred Shield, but I find myself with a Paladin healer a lot, and the spell power coefficient to that will override the length of yours. And someone just threw me a paper zeppelin. Alright then. This has been Sethaldor on the server Blade's Edge in the Guild Sacrilege. Thank you for listening to my protection guide for Paladins, and I'll have Holy and Retribution out soon. See you next time, and subscribe.